Is there anything like, that ever, scenes you shot for Jackass that ended up on the cutting room floor that, to your point, you were like, this feels too violent or it feels too extreme?
There was one thing very distinctly when we were filming the first Jackass movie in 2002. There was a kung fu legend named Jean LeBell, and I want to say he was in an Olympic, like a legend of the Olympics, like combat sports. Like Jean LeBell was it, and he transitioned from like legitimate like judo fighting or whatever his combat sport was, and he got into stunts. And Ronda Rousey, quoted him as saying that he told her every like real fight I got in, like I didn't make any money, but every fake fight I got in like made me like a very wealthy man.
Right.
Like it's saying that like his Hollywood career was much more lucrative for him than his combat sports career, and because he lived on both sides of the of that dynamic. They enlisted him. We shot with Jean LeBell, and like the whole cast of Jackass, if not the whole cast, like the majority of us, were just standing in a row, and Jean LeBell masterfully like came behind each of us, like the rear naked choke, and choked us unconscious, and he did it so fast. It's just totally odd. But the one guy just rear naked choke, like puts him sleep, lays him down on the floor, and then the next guy he just went down the line and choked everybody completely unconscious, laid us down on the floor. We all woke up like whoa, and that was deemed too dark and too imitatable. That's another piece that. So,
Yeah, what are the rules? Too imitatable?
yeah, imitatability is a big one. If it's something that kids can easily, replicate on their own, then there's a much bigger sense of liability around it. Um, and I guess just like the spirit of it, I don't know. Like they just didn't like it. Spike Jones didn't like that. Like none of the powers that be liked that. I don't think it came from even Paramount. I just think it didn't.
Yeah, it didn't feel right.
Right, it didn't feel right. But however, Ryan Dunn, God rest his soul,
Bless him.
having had that experience with Jean LeBell, just came away from that experience feeling himself educated and qualified to start choking people out himself. So we would be on tour, and Ryan Dunn would say like, "Hey," to the audience, like, "Who wants to come up and get on stage and get choked out?" And people would be like all about it. And I was so insanely uncomfortable with that. Like, please, God, for the love of God, Ryan, don't do this.
Oh man.
But he would do it. I would leave the stage. I would want no part in it. Dunn would choke people out, and it looked very much like what Jean LeBell did. He was actually pretty good at it.
Well, you do it enough times,
Right.
learning curve.
And God, that was the year of 2003. Dunn's choking people out on stage. We're on tour. We went on tour through like 12 different countries, on the back of the first Jackass movie's release. And this was like the craziest heyday. Like Jackass the movie, like Jackass had been like big on MTV, and then the movie was bigger than anything, and the movie comes out and we're just like on this world tour, like thousands of people at the shows. Like it was really, I was in like the craziest levels of addiction, like, and everything was just permissible at that time. I could be awake for days and days on drugs, and like nobody was upset about that. Like it was just, that's what was going on.
Who's getting you the drugs when you're on tour?
Who isn't? you know I mean, who like getting drugs on tour was always incredibly easy. But one day, while on tour in the UK, just going around England, um, I was just awake for enough days in a row. I was probably on like maybe going into my third day of being awake, and I like I was feeling self-conscious that that it was just all feeling like Groundhog's Day. Same show, same thing, same everything, and like there wasn't like really epic high level content being filmed for my Too Hot for TV DVD series.
I own those.
And so one day I just said, you know what, Dunn, today we're filming you choking me out. We're putting it out there. Be damned if it's too dark. Too dark for Jackass doesn't apply to the don't try this at home. And so Dunn not only choked me out, and then I'm like, do it again. He choked me out 6 times in one day, and each time, at first he was laying me down like Jean LeBell did. Then he was just kind of letting go. By the end, he's like, I'm unconscious. He's just throwing me, and I'm just like, it was bad.
What does what does that feel like?
And I put it out. and I put it out. I even to this day, I kind of celebrate like the dark stuff and what's goes beyond the Jackass stuff. Like what's too hot for Jackass is often perfectly okay with me.
What does that feel like? Like, is there any fear in it? And
oh my God, I did it. I did my farewell choke out like 2 weeks ago. Did you see it on like TMZ and stuff?
No.
I did see it.
Yeah, right in the middle. Dude, this was covered by Sports Illustrated.
You've made it.
TMZ.
Michael Jordan swiping on Instagram and he sees Sports Illustrated. He's like, is this the shit I was on?
Daily Mail. I mean, it was one of these like super viral publicity jackpots. And God, I'm a big UFC fan, so I go to the events a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And in a lot of the non-pay-per-view UFC events take place at the Apex. Yeah. So this was 2.5 weeks ago. And Angela Hill versus Mackenzie Dern is the headlining bout. I'm in the Apex. Steve Will Do It of the Nelk Boys is there.
I did see this. Okay.
I'm like, I say to Steve, yeah, let's get some content. Like when I get together with Steve Will Do It, and we it's always I come up with something that's outside of his comfort zone, and I get him to do it.
We gotta get to that side of Steve-O, Ben.
Yeah,
that's what we got to do. We got to bump this. Steve will do it. Ben will do it. Ben will run at it.
By the way, Ben won't do it.
That should be your name. Ben won't do it.
But after the fights, my bus is going back to LA. So I tell Steve, we'll do it. Like, hey, we should do something epic, but it's got to be here, and I got to go right away after the fight. So I was just like, dude, we should get choked out in the octagon, And so I see the number 3 contender in the middleweight division, Marvin Vittori. Yeah, I love this guy. I'm like, hey, Marvin, you down to choke us out? And he's like, hell yeah, dude. And then I'm like, all right, well, let's go check with actually, like the UFC people. And they were like, yeah, sure. After the fight, man, go for it, man, whatever,
Wow, I'm so surprised.
I know. But I mean, like, it's actually not that dangerous of a thing. What's dangerous is if you fall down and hit your head.
Sure.
But if you get laid down, like, it's not that big of a deal. It happens all the time in fights. But the problem is that I have a condition in my cervical spine, my neck. I've got degenerative disc disease, where the space in between the vertebrae is like diminishing, like it's a degenerative thing, and like I can feel like my neck's not good.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, like, dude, getting choked out and laid down, like I I asked Mike Bisping. We got Marvin Vittori's choking out Steve will do it, and former world champion Hall of Famer Michael Bisping's choking me out. And I asked him, I was like, my neck's not that good, and we're getting ready to joking around. He asked Steve will do it. How old are you? And Steve will do it. 24. They asked me how old are you? I'm like 48. And as I said, I'm 48 years old. It just really struck me. God, I've aged out of this, man. I shouldn't, this is not something that I should be doing. Yeah, we're the good guys, we're not the great guys.